Thank you for attending Brad Chigger's updated Crisis Averted webinar, the 11 updated steps to help you and your business survive and thrive. Please have something available to take notes. We will now begin the webinar. Brad?
Thank you, Jared. Thank you, team. Looking forward to today's session. I literally only 1 minute ago finished typing some things on this because stuff is changing that fast. This webinar is 2 weeks after the first one. When I did the first one, there was very little known and very little was clear to us what was actually happening. Today, we know a lot more. We can see a lot more. We've seen what's happened. We, 14 days into this, we now have an actual understanding of what's going on, much clearer than we did 14 days ago. 14 days ago, we didn't know if we were going to be in panic mode for a month, 3 months, 6 months, or 12. Now we're starting to see things changing. I'm watching it around the world, and obviously you've all seen the same as I have with China moving through, South Korea moving through, Italy still stuck in the middle of it. Australia and England are about a week behind us here in the United States. We're a week into lockdown here and going into the second week. And obviously seeing great signs coming out of some of the medical things that are happening around the world. So with that, I want to get away from the actual virus and get to the business side of what's going on here and get to the economic side of what we need to do and how you and I can survive and thrive through this thing. Obviously, survival is number one. Thriving is number two. So if we can get through survival and get to thriving, then that's fantastic. So ultimately, as we go through today, I want to take you through this from a perspective of, this is the fourth time I've been through an economic downturn in business in my career, in my lifespan, and watching all 4 times of seeing this, there's been similarities. Now, the speed with which this one is happening is entirely different. So when you look at the speed with which we go back to our most recent economic downturn being 2008-ish around the world, that one took a while to happen. Why? Because people were still debating whether it is an economic downturn or not. People were still debating what's actually going on. And it took months and months for that economic downturn to actually play out. This one is played out in a matter of weeks. So when you sit down and start thinking that the economic fall has over the last 2 weeks, 4 weeks, depending upon your time frame of where you're at and where you're seeing this thing, or back to November last year, if you go right back to the original of this stuff is happening so fast, and that's why the level of panic is where it is. It's happening faster than any time in the history we've seen a downfall like this. So it's really important for us to understand the speed with which we have to act, react, change, adapt right now is dramatic. When there is a slow downturn, you can move fairly slowly. When there is a speedy downturn, you have to move real quick. If you haven't watched my webinar from 2 weeks ago, go back and watch that at some point in time. It's on YouTube or it's on my LinkedIn or my Facebook. It's pretty much everywhere I could put it. But when you see that one, you'll see that what I was setting people up for was, hey, we don't know what's going on. We don't know where we're at. We've got to get to survival mode and how we do that. Today, you'll notice I'm going to be a lot more positive in what I'm saying. Today, I am feeling way more positive in where the market is at and what we're doing, because we have a level of knowledge that we didn't have 2 weeks ago. We have a level of understanding that we didn't have 2 weeks ago. Many of us have been, we know how many are in shutdown between us here in the US, UK, Australia, New Zealand, Spain. Basically every country I'm doing business in is in shutdown except in China. My team in China are no longer in shutdown. They're back at it. And so it's really interesting to see that this cycle we're moving through is a period of time of somewhere between 6 weeks and 3 months, depending upon where a country enters and how they do. And I know people are all worried about Italy, and I'm very worried about Italy too, from a psychological, emotional perspective. Financially, Italy's going to struggle. But you have to remember the average age of people passing away in Italy is over 80. So if these stats are correct that I'm reading, that's a different perspective to what we're seeing. Now, we're also seeing great moves on other fronts. The President of the United States yesterday said we're a matter of weeks away from getting the country back going, not a matter of months. That's a massive statement, and the massive statement of moving this thing forward. We've seen massive actions by governments, the UK government, the Australian government, New Zealand government. We've seen massive bailouts, states here in the United States, New York putting freeze on rentals, freeze on mortgages. We're seeing massive actions, and hopefully sometime today we see massive action from the US, and these people stop politicizing this and stop tacking on stupid stuff and actually get the bailout package out there to people and to businesses. It's got to be both. You can't bail out just business, you can't bail out just people. So with that, I'm feeling much more positive, to the point where I'm actually back in the stock market. As of this morning, back buying again into the stock market. So that's just me. I don't care what you do. I'm not trying to tell you what you should do with that. I'm just saying, for me, that's where I'm at. So where are we going to with this thing? Number one thing I think we need to do now is to move our communication into a positive communication. You know, where this is previously, this was a massive negative and no one knew what was going on. Now we can move to positive. Now we can see this for the opportunity side of it, okay? And I know that I'm trying to be as sensitive as I can to all of the actual virus stuff. I'm looking more at the economic impact of this thing. So we can move to a positive right now. We can move to, listen, we know there's going to be an end to this. We know that there's going to be a time frame. It's going to be somewhere between 2 weeks and 8 to 10 weeks, 12 weeks, whatever the number is. But we know in a matter of weeks, maybe a couple of months, we know there's going to be an end to this. So we need to be prepared to come out of this stronger than we went into this thing. We need to be prepared as business people to be able to get this thing up to where it needs to be. And that's what we're looking for. So it's got to make certain that that's what we're doing. I'm making certain that we as a group are saying that way and thinking that we are definitely moving towards that. Now, your level of focus on your vision and your goals, your level of passion, your level of enthusiasm, what you're seeing out there and how you're communicating to the world is going to be vital right now. Your people, your team, your customers, they all need to see that you are in a, we're getting through this, we're going towards somewhere. I know that it's tough, but as the leader of the organization, you need to be the one stepping up to the plate, and you need to be the one that's in front, and you need to be the leader, and you need to have that positivity, enthusiasm. Now, most of it should become because you have a plan, and we'll get to that in a moment. But if you have a plan to survive and thrive through this thing, then you can give positivity. I was just on the phone with the CEO of one of my other companies today. I said, buddy, you're not giving people something to focus on. You're not giving them somewhere to go. All you're doing is letting them sit in what is not happening. Give them somewhere to go. Give them something to focus on. Give them something to grab a hold of. You've got to give your people something to move them forward with passion, with enthusiasm. That's your job. You know, your business could become stronger through this thing if you understand that there is a strength that comes out of these challenges. And that's the communication. That's the method you've got to be working with this thing. Now, first and foremost, I want to tell people your number one job is not to thrive. Your number one job is to survive, okay? So get clear with that on your people. Let them know that there may be harshness, there may be toughness, there may need to be cutbacks in, everyone may need to share a salary deduction for a period of time. You know, they might all have to live on 30, 40% of their money for a period of time. But you as a person have to understand that if you do the survival stuff, then hopefully you can move into the thrive stuff. Get the survival. That's what my webinar 2 weeks ago was about the survival. This one's more about the thriving. How do you get to thrive from this and come out of this thing stronger, better, and you know, as a business, a better business because of it. Now, you've got to communicate to everybody, not just your employees, but your customers, not just your customers, employees, but your suppliers, your bankers, your community. You've got to be communicating with everybody, and the level of communication needs to be 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 times more than it used to be. Yes, call every single employee in your company and speak to them one-to-one. Yes, have daily meetings with your staff. Yes, move this thing forward. You've got to make sure that your level of communication is way, way, way higher than it has ever been in the past. And that's what it's got to be. You cannot hold back at this point in time. It is crazy at this point for you to be holding back and thinking, oh, I can just wait. No, communicate, communicate, communicate. Second thing, change is inevitable. Change has been forced upon us. We are in the middle of change. The market is changing. People are changing. The mindset of humanity is shifting. You have to understand that what used to be is no longer, before, BC and AC, before coronavirus and after coronavirus, there will be a different mentality going forward. There will be a different way of doing business going forward. There will be a different way of marketing, a different way of sales. Everything is shifting. And so while you think about what you've got to change, let's start with understanding where we can really do this. My formula for change is not that complex. I've given you the formula here. I'll give you the wording for it. D stands for dissatisfaction. V is for vision. So dissatisfaction times vision plus the first steps. F is for first steps, has to be greater than resistance. Now, right now, there is very little resistance to change. How come? Because we have to. There is no want to, might do. We have to change, okay? Now, in this case, knowing the first steps is going to be the hardest. Why? Because the thing about it is times are different. And to know what we got to do is that starting point, getting the knowledge about changing this. I'm so glad you're here with me on this webinar today. If you're on it live or if you're watching this on a recording, understand this. You know that you are ahead of the game because you know you need to change, okay? Now we got to learn the first steps of what we need to do. Your vision, though, is something you have to have clear. Don't change the goal because the market shifted. Don't go, oh, well, we were going to try and do $1 million this quarter. No, the market shifted. We're going to settle for doing $500,000 and surviving. No, keep going for the million. Keep doing that, because if you do that, you're going to think of new ways, better ways, different ways to get something sold. There is an urgency out there in the marketplace right now, and that urgency feeds buying. People saying, oh, no one's got any money. That's so not true. Companies and people up until this virus hit were having some of the best financial years of their lives all around the world. So don't think no one's got money. Be clear that people have plenty of money. They're just allocating it differently today. So you've got to get in front of that as to do it. Now, the second thing I'm going to say is it's not about one change that's going to change the whole business. It can often lead to be, see, I've said it bluntly to you before, if you've been with me for a while, that you don't change a business with one idea that gets you 100% difference. You change a business with 100 ideas that get you 1% difference. So it's small pivots, it's small changes, it's small. Now, some businesses have to make massive changes. They've got to do it entirely differently because they're out of business their old way. It's got to be. I know my food truck business, the whole business disappeared overnight, all of the events, all of those things. Now we've had to negotiate contracts to go into different parking lots where there's grocery stores that don't have any fast food places. Now we've had to go into selling value food to people and doing family style meals from there's so many pivots we've had to make. Our marketing is entirely different. Our sales strategy is different. Our pricing structure is different. We've had to pivot so many small things, but and I know if you're anything like me, a Friends fan, you hear the word pivot, you just think of trying to move the sofa with Ross. But anyway, that's a whole other thing. Let's keep moving in on this. I want you to be thinking that this could be the biggest opportunity. This market shift, this market change, because of this, the economic shift that's happening is the biggest economic opportunity. Excuse me. Possibly the biggest economic opportunity you'll see in your lifetime. The way this market is shifting, there are opportunities massively for companies that shift and do it right. Companies that not companies that try and gouge on prices and stupid stuff, but companies that do it right will come out of this much stronger, will come out of this with far more opportunity than they started with. You're being forced to use some of those crazy ideas that before you would never have touched because, yeah, that seems like a crazy idea. You're being forced to do some of the things that 12 months ago you shelved because you're like, that doesn't seem like it's going to be anything smart, oh yeah, we could go virtual, but now you're forced into doing these things. I know I've looked at my training company and I've said, dang, if we can get this to work virtually, imagine what this would look like for our business going forward. If we can get this to work now, we can have an entire different way of doing this type of thing, okay? So look at the opportunity that is in there. This next point, Everywhere in the marketplace, someone is thriving, okay? In every business around the world. McDonald's setting record numbers in their stores across the country and probably across the world coming up. You start to think about, where is someone thriving? I was just on the phone to one of our clients at ActionCOACH, and his biggest problem is he can't get enough trucks to move the things that they've got to have moved. You start sitting down and you think, how can I shift, adjust, change what I'm doing so that I have the ability to actually survive this thing? What do I need to do? What is being purchased right now massively that I can shift, that I can pivot towards that? So, okay, everyone's needing X. I can pivot towards X and just do that and make it some other way, if that makes sense. We've all got to make shift. The opportunity is massive. The market is different. You might even have to move into different markets. You might have to be, before you only sold in your town. Now you might be selling across the country. You might have to shift the product. You might have to shift the service into things that are being purchased right now. That being said, if you are going to change your business model, make sure you remember to apply the lessons of leverage. My definition of leverage is do the work once, get paid forever. So change your business model with that. If you want more on that, read my latest book, Pulling Profits Out of a Hat. Scalability, my definition there is the next sale costs less and is easier. Again, that's in my latest book. Make sure that you are pivoting your business to where you see a massive future. Pivot now. Now, sometimes though, the change may only have to be short term. That's a definite. Sometimes this change is only going to have to be short term. So remember that you may need to shift just for the next 30, 60, 90 days. Other times you're going to shift and you're going to say, wow, this is a great new direction for our business full on going forward. Number 3, virtual is the new normal. I cannot put it any more clearly than that there's no longer this whole thing of, where are we going to get business from? How are we going to do? Well, now there is a new normal, and that is that we can do things virtually, where, 20% of companies sold stuff online. Now your website must have stuff online. If you don't have a shop on your website right now, you're crazy. You got to get this, and you need to act fast. Get on there, get your website shifted so people can buy from you online. Buy right now, do that thing. I was supposed to be, we're 10 days out from when I was supposed to launch my online training program of 30X. And, here we are now. We launched it 10 days ago, too early. I know some people got glitches in the whole thing, but now we've got through all the glitches. My online training program, we were supposed to launch it, it was going to be $1,000. And we did it for $99 purely because we thought, heck, let's get this thing out there. We had to go online in what we sell. So yes, you're going to need to take advantage of technology. Yes, you're going to need to do more webinars. Yes, you're going to need more Zoom meetings, Skype meetings, you name it. You're going to need more technology. Your people are going to be able to work from home. Maybe the amount of office space you're going to need is going to drastically reduce. Maybe you take your retail store and you start selling more online. What are you going to do and how are you going to do it? I think there's so much possibility in this. Virtually, how are you going to manage your people? Let me give you the top 4 things we're doing to manage our people virtually. Number 1, huddles. Huddles are happening multiple times a day. It's a simple Zoom meeting where everybody gets on, everyone checks in, we check in on everyone's doing, making sure that everyone's on track. We plan our day. The first huddle of the day is about what's everyone doing today, what are we going to get done, what needs to be done. The last huddle of the day is checking in with everybody. The central huddle of the day is just how's everyone feeling type thing. Where's everybody's head at? This is most important to do that. Second thing we're doing is written documents every day. So everyone's got to send in what they're doing for the day. They got to write it down, make sure it's in. Now, we used to do that anyway, but now it is even more important than it's ever been. Third thing that we're doing is reporting every day. You report in at the end of the day what got done, what didn't get done, how it got done, all those sorts of things. And then financial reporting is done now on a daily basis, not on a weekly or a monthly. It's done on a daily basis to make sure that everything is ahead of the game and doing that sort of stuff. So reporting is the next thing. Next one is one-to-one phone calls. Check in with your people. Don't just assume that they're okay. Check in with them, do the one-to-ones, make sure that stuff is happening, get in touch with people. Now, I'm talking about your employees here, not your externals, not your customers, not all that stuff. This is just your internal people in your organization at this point in time. So as you go to managing your people, by the way, the fourth thing that we're doing for human management is making certain that everybody's got their stuff set up at home. They can work from home, all of those sorts of things. It doesn't affect or impact the hours. People can work whatever hours as long as they're getting the job done. And we know that all studies show that virtual working environments, people don't actually work less, they actually work more. So it's an interesting one. Social distancing is the new normal, okay? It is the new normal. You're gonna have to work out methodologies. It'll change your business based on social distancing. It is the new way. We're not gonna go back. People are not gonna go back to hugging and kissing and handshaking within a week, okay? It's not going to happen. So if you're running events in May or June or wherever the events are, then you're gonna have to allow for that social distancing, more space, more time, more allowance for all those things. The biggest thing you got to combat is your people not feeling as part of the team anymore. The people are feeling alone. People are feeling like they're out there. So you've got to keep up that connectivity, that communication. You've got to make sure that people feel a part of it. So think about your employees, think about your people and how they're feeling right now. Then you got to look at your meetings. What is your agenda on your meetings? How are your meetings running? Keeping them as short and sharp as possible, making sure that your meetings are run very well, but also making sure there is activity from all people. You know, if you get onto a meeting and one of the team hasn't said anything in a day or so, then that's not working. You need to direct the meeting, make sure everybody's involved, 100% inclusion, 100% involvement. Get feedback from everybody so that you're getting communication happening across the board and doing it. Finally, that reporting also means planning. So how are you planning right now? What are you doing for your planning? Some of your meetings are going to have to be planning meetings. At least once a week, I get with my team and we plan, okay, what are we doing for the week? Where's everybody at? What do we need to shift? What do we need to change? We do it on a Monday morning. We report in on a Friday, the end of week, but my senior team are planning every Monday morning for what's going to happen for the week. Some of this stuff you may have already done. Others of it you're going to have to totally change because it's no longer going to be done face to face. It's going to be done virtual, and you're going to make sure that's there. Keep thinking of that. Point 4, cash flow management right now. So when we take a look at cash flow management, 2 weeks ago, I was saying, you know, you got to stock up on cash. You got to make sure you're ready. You got to do whatever you can to get through this. Now, yes, it's still a good time to cut costs, but not crazy. Just renegotiate. See, if you were doing real well over the past few months, you probably got fat and happy in a few areas. It's probably time to renegotiate your phone contract. It's probably time to renegotiate a few contracts. Extending of credit. Credit is still being extended out there. If you can get it, go and extend your credit just in case this thing lasts longer than we predict it will. Make sure you do have that credit. Now, your important suppliers and important partners, make sure you keep paying them. Do not mess with your partnerships, your strategic partners, your suppliers that you need to survive and thrive. Make sure they are at the top of your list. Make sure they're the people that get paid first. Make sure that's the thing. You know, you've got to be doing that sort of stuff. I hear people around the world saying, you know, you don't need to pay your landlord. Listen, you're going to need to pay your landlord, whether you pay them now or whether you pay them in 6 months. You're going to need to pay your landlord because you don't want to be out of a business as well as out of business, you know. So these are some of the things you've got to keep in mind. Government programs do not. I've spoken to a few people who are like, well, you know, I don't know about the government programs and that sort of thing. Take the time to learn it. Take the time to get involved and go for the government programs at a federal level, state level, local level, whatever government programs are being offered. Listen, I'll put it to you from my perspective. I've never taken a handout in business, but I had to swallow my ego and suck it up and say, you know what, let's apply for these government programs for all of our businesses because you never know which one we're going to need it for. Let's apply for these government programs to make sure that we do actually get through this thing. Hey, we've been paying taxes, or I've been paying taxes long enough. Maybe it's time for me to get some of it back and do that stuff. But, you know, you're going to need to apply for them. I know a lot of the times the websites, I've seen it around the world, people talking about the websites are crashing and all that sort of stuff. I know that my CFO last night, finally got the application in for one of our companies at 12:45 p.m. So, you know, 1 a.m. almost to get it in because that's the time when the website's up and running type thing. We don't know how long it's going to take or what it's going to be, but we're in there, we're getting in line, we're making sure we're going to be counted for this stuff. I'm just saying, take advantage of it. If you can postpone things, do postpone it. If you're looking at major purchases that you can postpone, definitely do that. I guess this is a big thing. I've taught businesses for years. You must have 3 months of cash flow on hand at any one point in time, 3 months of costs on hand at any one point in time. And people are always like, why? Really? 3 months? I should have 3 months? That seems a lot. Yes, 3 months. That's what it's going to be. So, that's what we need to do and make sure. If you can change your cost structures, do that now. You've got to look at it. See, even that whole going virtual thing, it could change your cost structures. I know for us, I look at our training business. Maybe if our training business goes virtual, we can change our cost structures on our training programs for forever and a day. These are some of the things that you're going to have to do. That all being said, cash flow management, cutting costs, all that stuff, yes, on the agenda. The way through this thing, though, is sales. The way through this thing is not by cutting costs and just putting your head in the sand and knuckling and just saying, okay, I'll ride this thing out. Other than our business that has been forced closed, like our restaurant in the Wynn Casino, it's forced closed. All we can do with that is ride it through. All we can do is sit and wait to be reopened and reopen with a bang. We can plan stuff, we can work on things, but we just got to make sure that one, we just do it. Other businesses, we got to sell our way through this thing. We got to pivot and change it. And I'll get to a bit more on sales in just a little while. Step 5, marketing has to change. Your marketing, whatever it was before, you've got to shift your marketing. You cannot be unaware of the shift in the market. You cannot be, any ads that you produced 3 months ago should no longer be running. Any marketing you did that you created months and months ago should be changed for right now. If your ads are the same ads that you used to have running before and you haven't changed them up, your business is going to get crushed out there. From a lack of sensitivity, because I think that's the big thing. If your message isn't different and doesn't come with a message of compassion, you are going to get crushed out there in the marketplace. My team said to me, I was stupid when I put 30X out there for $99, but I said, listen, we just got to help as many people as we can right now. Don't be crazy about this. Yes, later on we can go back and be charging $1,000 for this thing, but for right now, let's just do it for $99 and just get as many people learning and growing as we possibly can. Webinars, yeah, we could charge for webinars, but no, do them for free. Business people need the help right now, so let's be on it and let's be out there doing it. That's the stuff that we need to be doing. My books, well, Amazon sets the price for the books, so jump on Amazon, read as much as you can, learn as much as you can. But if you look at your marketing shift, I'll give you the simple example of our food truck business, where we do barbecue and meats and stuff. Our other one is chicken wings. All we do is wing. All we do is help people. The Monty Smokehouse Barbecue, family-friendly meals. We've changed the marketing message massively because the market is different. Now, we may never have to use that message in 3 months' time, but for right now, we have to be using that message. That's what we need. The third thing I want to talk to you about marketing is how there is a need for people to act now. If your marketing doesn't have a level of urgent take action now stuff, then people aren't going to be responding right now. Why do I need to buy right now? It's like the team looked at me the other day and said, well, why would people buy 30X now? Well, their business is going to die if they don't get the knowledge on how to do this stuff. They're going to be out of business. So it has to be now. It has to be urgent. So you look at your marketing and you tell them, with the Monty's, with our food truck business, our marketing is done every day. Here's the meal for tonight. This is what we're cooking for tonight. Put your orders in right now. It's not here's what we're doing next month and here's what we're doing the month after. No, here's what we're doing tonight, today. Buy today. Do it immediately. And this is some of the stuff that we as people need to be making certain that we are doing. Get your marketing, get it urgent. Now, the next thing I'm going to say about your marketing has got to be virtual. It's got to be viral. You look at this webinar I'm doing right now. It's both virtual and it's viral. The number of people who shared this webinar out there is amazing. I'm not sure if you found it direct from me or if you found it because someone shared it and someone shared it and someone shared it. What you're looking at with marketing right now is if you're doing the right stuff, if you're helping people in the right way, people will share it. If you're doing the right thing. Our food truck business, the number of people who shared that we were doing those meals and still share it every single day that we're doing those meals to help other people because we put them at family-friendly pricing, $6 and $7 a person for a meal. People are sharing it. So think of your marketing. It's got to be virtual. It's got to be viral right now. Again, I go back to your website. If you're struggling, you've got to get that website up. You've got to get that stuff there. Marketing, next point. If you are doing less marketing than before, you're crazy. You need to be doing more marketing than you've ever done in the past. You need to be exploding your marketing. You need to be doing much more marketing, but it can be virtual and it can be viral. It can be costing less than it ever did before, but getting much more results than it ever did before. You need more marketing. You need more voice, more saying, more out there. If you're not on your social media every day, if you're not creating videos every day, if you're not communicating daily, you're missing the point of today. The world has shifted. People want to hear from you more now, especially if you're doing the right things. If you're doing the wrong things and you're price gouging, no one wants to hear from you. You'll get beat up online. If you're doing the right things, people will thank you for your marketing and thank you for your message because you're educating, you're helping, you're getting them more knowledge than they've ever had before about what they can do and how you can help them through this whole thing. So be that person, be that the marketer that get that out there. And finally, if you are not good with knowing your numbers on marketing today, you've got to get great at it. You got to know that for every $1 out, I get 2 back, or for every 22. One of my team yesterday was showing me a new campaign that they started, which is $15.70 out for every $100 in. So if for every $15 we invest in marketing, we're bringing $100 in. That to me is important, to know those numbers and be better on it than you've ever done before. If you have to, read my book, Buying Customers, to learn how to do that stuff, okay? But numbers is marketing. Marketing is numbers. If you're just joining us halfway through this thing, yes, I'm far more positive today than I was 2 weeks ago. I can see there is an end in sight. That being said, there's still a lot of things we got to do to survive this and thrive through this whole thing. Selling today has to shift. Your sales must shift. By the way, I'm hoping to have time for questions at the end of this. If you do have a question, please type it in. I will get to as many of them as I can. I'm hoping to have sort of 5-10 minutes for questions once I finish off these 11 points. Sales today, if the level of your compassion must be seen. It cannot have a tone of hard sell. It cannot have that tone that used to be there. When people were making a lot of money and everyone was strong, you could go in and you could be tough in your sales approach with people. But today, the customer must be number one. You must have that empathy. You must be empathetic in everything you do with your customers, because you got to know they're going through tough times. Now, they may be going through mentally tough times. They may be going through emotionally tough times. They may be going through economically tough times. But it's up to you to make certain that you are focused on them and their needs and their wants and their desires, and that you're helping. That said, you still have to make sales. You're not going to get through this thing unless you sell. Someone the other day I was chatting with, and they said, I feel bad selling in this time. No, do not let anyone make you feel bad for selling during this thing. Do not make get anyone to make you feel bad for helping by getting your product or service out there in the marketplace. Do not let anyone make you feel guilty because you're out there building the business and saving jobs and keeping people feeding their family. No, I will never feel guilty for giving great value to people and doing my products and services. That said, I'm far, far more compassionate with people today, and I have to be. I was always a compassionate or empathetic seller, but now I realize that the purpose I have is more important than the sale. My purpose to save business owners right now and to get them to survive and thrive through this thing is so, people said they've never seen me this fired up, and it's because I know if I don't get the message into the heads of business owners that there's going to be a chance we lose businesses out there, and that's not good. We want everyone to survive this thing, everyone to thrive through this thing. So be on purpose, be on passion, but sell based on the purpose. That leads me to the next point, that how you build relationships in this time will show up in the next future. I'm going to tell you a quick little story that shows you exactly this. I've mentioned the food truck business. Last night I was on the phone with my partner, Ryan. He told me a simple story. He said, you know what? When we started doing the family feed and the family foods that people could come and pick up from us, I had this one guy on the Saturday night come and he thanked me and he gave a great tip and he really thanked me for it. And then on Monday this week, he said, I called this place where I think it'd be great to have the food truck positioned. And I called and they said, the person you need to speak to is Steve. Well, get him. And so I left a message to Steve telling him what it was. I get this phone call back saying, hey, Ryan, it's Steve. Hey, Steve, I'm the guy you called about putting the food truck in at the place. Oh, well, thank you so much for getting back to me. He said, Brian, I was at your place on Saturday night and I picked up my meal and you guys did such a great job with it. And I'm so proud. We've never let food trucks be in our parking lot, but we're going to let you be in there. See, what you do for people in these times will pay you back manyfold. As long as you take care of people now, they will take care of you come later on. So take care of people, build relationships in your sales. Make sure you're doing that. Number 7, talk about relationships. Your repeat business level, I've always taught this and I hope you remember it, that repeat business equals profit, okay? Repeat business equals profit. So you sit down and you start thinking about this stuff and you start looking at what am I doing right now to make sure I'm taking absolute care of my existing customer base? What am I doing right now to make sure that I keep them all on board? How can I help them? What do I need to do? It starts with chatting with every single one of them. It starts with getting the message out there. It starts with being a leader, but getting that understanding into your team, to yourself, that our existing customer base, we need to work with them. We need to help them. And we need to do more service than we've ever done before. I know in my commercial cleaning business, the gymnasiums have all shut down. So we're working with them and asking them how we can help. I know I've got as many of those gymnasiums on this webinar as I can because I want them to come out of this stronger than they were. And in fact, for all the gymnasiums, I'm going to give you a quick little story. A friend of mine here in Las Vegas, they run a cycling studio. And in their cycling studio, they have each studio has all of the bikes in there. And they got shut down. So quick pivot. They went and rented all of the bicycles to their customers and said, if you want to rent a bike to have in your house for the next month, we will rent it to you at this much per week or this much per month. And we'll do virtual classes so that you can use it and stay a member and do this sort of stuff. You see, you've got to pivot. You've got to make sure that you pivot and change and do what you need to do. But they went above and beyond to be able to help their customer base and be able to get their customers still doing business with them. Retain your existing customers. It's vitally important that we do this stuff, and it's vitally important that you focus on building that level of loyalty. If you read, which book of mine is it in? Where My Ladder of Loyalty. The ladder of loyalty shows you how to take people from when they're an initial suspect right through to where they're a raving fan of your business. You will create a massive level of raving fans in your business if you do the things that you do now, if you help people grow. What book is that in? I think it's Instant Repeat Business. I'm pretty sure it's Instant Repeat Business, has that whole ladder of loyalty in it. But if you start thinking, if you start really looking at and thinking to yourself, how do I build loyalty with my people? It's about that relationship that you build in tough times. When you make mistakes is when you build how you fix a mistake, how you work through a crisis is one of the biggest things. Now, in this virtual world, your customer service has to be made visible. Harry Beckwith wrote a great book many moons ago called, what's it called? Selling the Invisible. And what he talked about is about you've got to take the invisible and make it visible, okay? In a virtual world right now, customer service can't be seen. They can't see you smiling. They can't do all that stuff. So you've got to take it and be as virtual as you can in your customer service, okay? So make sure that your customer service is doing things. Send them a gift, send them a little thing, do that stuff. You know, when, who was it? Patty Lund wrote the book, customer service book. I think it was actually called Critical Non-Essentials. He talks about, yeah, these things are not essential, but they're critical. These little customer service tidbits, they're not critical, but they're essential. Sorry, they're not essential, but they're critical. In times of virtual business, doing this stuff is absolutely needed for you right now. You must be taking care of your customer in a visual methodology. Give them something, do something that takes them that. If you understand that your repeat customers are going to be the survival rate of your business, you understand the level of importance you want to put on them, okay? Step 8, how do we get the most out of our people? You know, your people right now, and the first thing you got to understand is they are in fear. Your people are worried about their job. They're worried about the virus. They're worried about everything they're seeing on the TV. They're worried about their family. They're worried about their friends. They're worried about everything. So you've got to make certain that you are getting this stuff. You can't help this, but it's going to be out there. The fear is there, and you need to lead your people so that the fear is not there. You've got to make sure that you are giving them the focus, something to focus in on. Get their mindset focused forward, and the fear just has to dissipate. The fear will not be there. So make sure that you are going through this stuff at a level that you are getting the results you need. I'm seeing that a couple of people are having audio issues. I'm sorry, but I'm sure GoToWebinar is slammed today. I know that we've got thousands of people registered for this thing. I apologize for that. We will get a recording. The recording will have all the sound. I'm certain for it. Okay, we'll post it up in YouTube wherever we can. Yeah, I know there's some people got great sound. I know it's trouble, but GoTo is definitely getting smashed. Same as Zoom, same as all of these others. Imagine their bandwidth right now. So next point on step 8 is you've got to set new standards for your people. What was okay before, what was accepted before, you're going to have to change the standards of what's accepted. People need to work harder. They need to do more. They need to achieve more. If they're moving their role, you need to change that up. So make sure that you are in this thing, okay? You've got to remember one thing about this whole business crisis. The fear is worse than the actual thing. Do not let fear stop you. Do not let fear hold you in your tracks. Remember, fear stands for false evidence appearing real. You've got to be the one that's getting out there and doing that. So make sure that you are. Set new standards. But with your people, they need to see you leading. They need to see you out on the forefront. They need to see you in every way you possibly can be. Make certain that you are out in front of this thing, whether it's on video, whether it's on Zoom, wherever it is. Your people need to see you leading, not just think you're leading, not just do the leadership stuff, not just in the background planning, but actually communicating. Make sure you're out there. Make sure you're in front of people. Go out there, be that person, be the leader that you need to be right now. Give them something to focus on. Now, some of your people, you're going to have to shift them from cost centers to profit centers. You're going to have to look at some of the people that used to be in a cost center in your business and move them and say, okay, how do I put this person into making me money? What do I need to get this person doing for them to be out there and doing the results and getting the things happening that we need to have happen? Can I move people into help salespeople? Can I get the salespeople on the phone 10 times more by getting someone to be their assistant and do that rather than having them do their own paperwork right now? How can I shift my cost centers into profit centers? Make sure that you are everywhere, okay? Make sure that you are moving people into profitability. Some of the people are going to need to be trained, and you're going to need to retrain some people on different things. Some jobs are going to be gone forever right now. They're just gone. You know, I look at in our organizations and see what it is. But here's the thing. This is not a 2-year thing. This is not a 3-year thing. This is maybe a month to 3-month thing. So keep as many of your people as you can. Get those government handouts, keep them on salary. If everyone has to have a small pay cut for a period of time, then maybe that's what everyone has to do. But it is not a time to go and fire everybody. This is not, oh, we're going to need to go through this. If I look at this thing, you know, in 2008, we knew that the economic downturn was going to last for months, years. We knew that the economic winter was going to last for months or years. So yes, cost cutting and getting rid of people was a real thing. In this day and age, I think that if you have to put people on vacation or you have to put them on furlough for a little bit of time, yes, that might need to happen. If people need to take a pay cut for a little while. Now, if there's some people you've been thinking of, they should have been fired anyway, yes, now is the time to do that. If they should have been fired anyway, you should have done it before, now's the right time. Just make that happen. But keep as many of the people as you can. You're going to need them when this thing comes through. Plan for how you do it. Shift them into making money right now. If they need to change jobs for the next 30, 60, 90 days, they need to change jobs for the next 30, 60, 90 days. Step 9, your brain. We've got to work on your brain through this whole thing. Coming on webinars like this is important, but also so are daily rituals. What are you doing every day to learn? What are you doing every day to see this as an opportunity, not a crisis? How are you finding everything going forward? See, the daily rituals of reading, of looking at your goals, of focusing on the positive, the daily rituals of doing the stuff you need to do. Don't get caught up in the Facebook and reading all of these articles that are all about the world's about to end. No, do not get caught in that. Sometimes getting off the news is a great thing to do. You know what you got to do. You got to hunker down in place for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever the number of weeks is. During that time, you got to get your business in survival mode. You got to get virtual, and you got to make sure that your business survives this thing. So you know what you got to do. There's an opportunity in this. It's not a crisis unless we let it get there. So get something every day where you work on your brain. Now, if that means you got to go for a walk every day, go for a walk every day and get your brain, get yourself sorted, get focused, go for a swim, do whatever it is you need to do to get yourself in a strong mindset every day. Next one, it's a 90-day game. Plan for the next 90 days to get through this thing. Plan for a 90-day game. Now, I might be slightly off in this. It may be a little shorter, it may be a little longer. But for me, I'm looking at this as 90 days to get my team through this whole thing. If you can look at it from that perspective, you've got to start thinking, what do we need to sell in these next 90 days? How will I do it differently to survive this next 90 days? What can I sell for 90 days that'll get me through this thing? What is it that people are buying? What can be urgent? What do I need to do? How are you going to deliver it in this next 90 days? What are you going to do different? How are you going to make sure that people are in there? How are you going to do this stuff? I need you to understand that for the next 90 days, you may need to be an entirely different business. You may need to be that, okay? Survive first is the ultimate goal. Your plan has to be about survival. How do I make enough money every day to survive this thing? How do I make sure that my team and myself survive this whole thing? How do I do that? That's your first part of your plan. Once you've got that plan enacted, once you've got them virtual, once you've got them operating, once you've got those things, make sure you go to thrive second. Then start the plan of how do I thrive through this? How do I actually end up stronger at the back end of this than I was at the beginning? So make sure that that's what you're feeling and that's what you're doing, okay? Plan it. If you don't have an action coach already, please jump on with an action coach. Yeah, we're distanced socially, but we're still here to help, okay? We are here to help you every step of the way. All of my coaches worldwide are putting aside 5 hours a week to work pro bono, free, with business owners that need their help. If you need the help, jump on actioncoach.com, click the find a coach thing, fill in half a dozen questions. Your perfect coach will be matched with you based on those half a dozen questions. Make sure you do that. If you want my 30X training, then get that. Start doing it. In fact, Jared, could someone on the team please put a link in the comments thing?
You got it. I'll do it
now.
In
fact, can you send a link out to everyone after this so that if they want 30X, they can start learning? It's 99 bucks, team. I'm doing it for you. Once this is over, we will go back to $1,000 on the thing, I'm pretty sure. But this is the way we're doing it. Now, step 11, this is the real positive in me, okay? This is the real positive in me right now. What I want you to do is start thinking about what are the opportunities coming up right now. Yes, the stock markets have plunged and plummeting. I know that the UK and Australia are about a week behind us here in America. They're a week behind in shutdown. Other markets are a week or two ahead of us here in the United States with their shutdowns and when they do it. State by state here in the US, it's different from different markets. Latin America is a week or two behind again for a lot of those marketplaces. Those in more tropical climates are having way less impact because of the heat is having a difference on this thing. There will be businesses, your competitors will be up for sales. Some of your competitors will need to sell in the next 30, 60, 90 days. If they didn't plan for this thing and they're not on these webinars and learning how to get through this, some other your competitors will be up for sale. Customers, if one of your competitors disappears, their customers will be up for sale. Their customers will need you to come in. See, in 2008, 30, 40% of small to mid-sized businesses and 30 to 40% of big companies all disappeared. Their customers were up for sale. They need to buy from somewhere. You've got to keep that focus on where you're going to invest. Remember my economic cycles, okay? And again, if you go back and watch the previous webinar, I did that on there. It's on YouTube. Just do Brad Sugar's Crisis Averted, and you'll find that webinar, especially for those in the UK or in Australian markets that are a week or two behind us here in the US. Go take a look at that one because that stuff will be more relevant to many of you today than today's positivity one. This positivity one will be relevant to you in a week or two when you see the market shifting in your marketplace. Remember, every downturn is followed by an uptick. The uptick, I believe, is going to be faster than ever before. The last message I want to say to you all is this. It's take action today. Do not wait on this stuff. This is not I can hold off for a few days. No. The speed with which this virus is attacking economies, the speed with which this virus is attacking humans is the same speed you need to be running at right now. You need to be moving with speed, with urgency in doing this stuff. If you've got a question, please type it in there. The ladder of loyalty, my team just sent me a note. The ladder of loyalty is in 30X. I spend a whole day, I spend a whole session on there. So thanks for that, Russ. Before I get to the questions, okay. Get with your coach. We've mentioned that already. Okay, so go back through your notes today and what are 5 things you need to do today? Just list out 5 things you need to get started on. Questions, start typing them in. I will try and get to any of these questions and all of these questions that I possibly can in the 10 minutes I've got left. Brad, I'm in a restaurant. What can I sell? Same as our business. We went to take out food. We went to selling food from the back of the kitchen. We had people order. We set up an online store immediately. We did that. We did it immediately. We had to do it. We had to sell different foods. We started selling in bulk. We started selling people. We didn't sell single meals. We sold family style meals. You know, you've just got to start thinking. Every business out there, there's something you can be doing. Remember, if you're in the restaurant business, you can still get food because you're buying it at wholesale. The wholesalers are still there to sell to you, okay? The people going to grocery stores, they're struggling right now. So remember that fact that there is an advantage for you. Other questions. What is 30X? 30X is a 30 minutes a day program for 30 days with me teaching you how to grow the business. How does the photographer pivot their business when you can't go out and take photographs of people? You can go out and take photographs of every dang thing out there right now. You can be the COVID photographer, and you can start building your brand by making certain that you're out there. You know, there's so many different things that you've got to start thinking about, and brainstorming the stupidest, dumbest, craziest ideas is going to be there. You know, it's amazing what we're doing out there in the marketplace. Yeah, McDonald's shut down they're only on drive-through. Yes, and they're setting records on drive-through. I literally, one of my buddies has a Chick-fil-A here, and they have to actually have the police there to monitor the drive-through so people aren't being crazy and stuff. You know, this is what we're doing. What's the F and the R for in the change formula? First steps and resistance. There you go. Thanks, Ross. All right, let me pull down social media right now. Yes, you should be far more active on your social media right now. Must be far more active on your social media right now, far more than what you've been before. Brad, I'm stuck in fear. What do I do? Re-listen to this webinar 100 times. Jump on my social media with me every day. Advice for a staffing agency. What can you do that's out there? See, if you take a look at the staffing agency, what companies are needing staff right now? Amazon's hiring massively. There's all these companies hiring massively out there. Supermarkets have definitely been hiring. I know one of my buddies runs a Smart and Final here in town, and he's literally had to hire 12 new people. I was chatting with a client earlier today. They're hiring because they're in the conveyor belt business, and all their customers are like Amazon and FedEx and UPS. There's companies hiring right now. They have to be hiring. A design and renovation company. Start thinking of what else you can sell. Can you create products that you can sell? Can you be a sourcing agent for other products? These are the things, gang. Get with your coach and brainstorm this stuff. Every one of us needs to be brainstorming and thinking through what you could be doing that can be sold right now. What else in your industry is still selling, and how can you be a part of that? People in the UK are naming and shaming businesses staying open on social. What are your thoughts about that? You can be open on virtual. Oh my God, people are being stupid about stuff. As long as your marketing message is not one of, I'm here to gouge and do stupid stuff. Your marketing message is, I'm here to help as fast as I can in a virtual format, then of course you're going to need to be. I mean, for goodness sake, most businesses that are staying open, my buddies with their doctors, they're definitely going to have to do it. The events and entertainment business. How can you have online events? Look at all these customers, Brandon, that are out there now having to turn to virtual. You can become the person that teaches them how to run virtual businesses and virtual events and virtual stuff. How do you do that sort of stuff? You know, you've got to make sure that you're doing this. It's got to be on there. So you've got to be thinking, what can I do? When should I rehire my team that I laid off? Dang, look, I'm trying to not lay off anybody. We're trying to make it through this. Some of our businesses we're actually hiring again. Our restaurant business, we're trying to keep them all through. I don't know. I can't answer that question for each market. I know that you're in Texas, but I'm pretty sure in Texas that you're going to see the rebound sooner than you think. It's going to be there sooner than you think. So, as fast as you think, before you need it is probably the best answer I can give you. Before you actually need to do it is probably the biggest and best answer that I can give you. Listen, there's still a bunch more questions I know you've typed in. I just want to say to all of you, listen, our coaches, whilst they're not with you on a daily basis right now in lives format, they are with you. Get with a coach, learn from them. I can't answer everybody's question and spend an hour doing this stuff, but I think that if you start looking at this as an opportunity rather than a negative, if you start sitting there saying, yes, my business is going to have to be different. Yes, my business is going to have to change. Yes, I know my business is different now. Then ultimately you're going to be better off than anybody else there. No one expected this stuff to happen. No one can give, anything of what we've got to do. You've got to just make the most out of what you've got. And that's very, very simply put. Homeschooling kids, Stephanie, that's a great question. We have 5 kids all at home on homeschool right now, and we have not let any staff into our house for a week and a half now. And my wife is becoming their teacher. I've become their teacher. Our older daughters are becoming teachers of the younger ones, and the older ones are doing it virtually. And I got to tell you, we are using as many tools as we possibly can to homeschool right now. It was crazy, but my wife put up a thing on day one of this that homeschooling's going well. 2 kids already in detention for fighting, and a teacher fired for drinking on the job. Homeschooling and running the business. Again, we're just doing the best we absolutely can. We're doing the best we can, and that's what we're going to do. Monica, Aruba is on lockdown. You've got to understand that's the way it's going to be for a little while. Us here in Vegas, we're suffering the same thing, but there's companies that'll survive this thing, and there's companies that'll get through it. Governments will be doing the best they can, and I know the Aruba government is going to do the best they can. The question is, China now business as normal? What I'm seeing, Grant, from my people is that they are back to almost normal. They're back to almost normal. One of my team, I was FaceTime when he was walking through his factory the other day. So they're back to normal in that stuff. So I can only tell you what I'm seeing from my people. I can only tell you what I'm seeing from them. You see the media the same way I do. Look, China, unfortunately, it's hard to get much out of there. It's just hard to get much. But I know from my own people, that's what I'm seeing. So they're producing at a rate because they got to catch up. They were behind, and their production has increased and stuff to catch up for the months that they were behind because they're producing for other companies out there in the world. But listen, gang, I hope this has been a help to you. I hope that whatever we can do, please talk to your coach. I hope that we can get your business through this thing together. And I really hope that you stay strong through this thing. I hope that you stay fit and healthy and keep your mindset as strong as possible. Get with your action coach, jump on 30X, whatever you can do to get your knowledge up and get yourself learning. I'm going to keep teaching every day. Last but not least, I am in the middle of recording another program that is just for this virus. It's going to be like 5 hours of material. I'm going to give it to you for free. So stay in communication with me. I got a 5-hour program that I'm doing for free. I'm getting it recorded as fast as I can. The first hour is done. We'll start releasing it next week or at the very earliest late this week. But listen, stay strong, stay healthy, take care of your people, take care of yourself, take care of your customers. We will get through this thing. Bye for now. Jared, please make sure that everyone gets a recording of this thing too. I really want to make sure we help as many as possible. Please share the recording, people. Please share it. Let's get as many business owners through this thing as possible. Take care. Bye for now.
Yes, everyone will receive a copy of this recording via email, as well as a YouTube link to share with later today. Thank you all for attending. Have a wonderful day.